So, what about aviation industry? It's an ever-growing industry, and it's, I think, one of the major pollution causers, dare I say. So, how much they rely on offset? Do you think there is an enough supply of such credits, or we still need to scale the carbon credit
Yeah.
market? And because all the pollution-causing industries are actually
Mm-hmm.
growing.
So answering the aviation first, aviation actually is a special one. They have their own standards called the CORSIA standards. CORSIA. CORSIA
Okay.
standards is the way on how aviation sector works with the carbon markets to decarbonize themselves. Aviation is one of the largest players of voluntary carbon market also, and they've been doing some beautiful work through sustainable aviation fuel or through other initiatives to lower down their emission load. Same is shipping also for that matter. Shipping has also started taking carbon emissions very seriously.
Yeah.
On scaling up
Yeah.
carbon markets, I think there's a massive movement right and rightly so going behind scaling up carbon removal markets. The removals are still 4% of the total supply. Just to repeat, removal is when you are really sequestering CO2 from the atmosphere. So biochar, carbon capture, direct air capture, these are all examples of removal. When you remove, you're actually removing the CO2. You're not avoiding or reducing, you're actually removing the CO2. That is
Yeah.
scaling up now. The demand has also come up now, and we know more new innovations. One example is something called as enhanced rock weathering, ERW. So what is ERW? This is sprinkling basalt salt into agricultural fields, and CO2 gets trapped in these
Yeah.
basalt rocks, basically. So ERW is picked up. Ocean alkalinity enhancement is another example. ARR or agroforestry is the oldest example that we know about. So remove the scaling, there's a lot more demand coming in. The only factor over here important is how good is the project? Whether it is permanently there, there are no additionality claims, are you getting data as a buyer? Are you as a buyer confident to even put in money in this project so that it doesn't turn out to be a problematic project down the line? If there's enough data, if the project is solid, then a lot of buyers are willing to put in money in removal projects today. Yeah.
What kind of
What kind of
problems?
problems? First problem is the foremost is something called as additionality. So what is additionality? If you are doing business as usual, if the carbon credit revenue did not help you, but the project would have happened anyhow, then getting carbon credits is slightly
Okay.
tricky because you are not doing to save the world, you are doing it for your own business activities. Or the revenue out of the project would have already helped to generate enough income so that carbon credits are not needed. Now it's a debate over there. Now there are a lot of innovative projects. So do you meet the innovation additionality? There is financial additionality. There's another way to look at it is co-benefit, social co-benefit additionality also. So the the philosophy additionality is the intent to even set up the project and get credit. That needs to be crystal clear. That's number one. Second is how permanent is this project going to last? Is it a one-time effort? A lot of companies, a lot of government firms in India come to us and say, hey, we have this waste stockpile. Please clear it for us and give us the credit. One-time projects for the virtue are just there to be set up once and go away. They don't really get carbon credits. So how permanent? And then the permanence of the credit in itself also, like the CO2 sequestration that happened, removals have a permanence of CO2 for about 1,000 years versus avoidance, which don't really have any permanence. So how permanently is the CO2 also getting avoided? You need to measure the life of the project in permanence. The third one I can talk about is leakages. Suppose I set up a forest in my city. Will it stress the land a lot to generate problems or landslides in another city? You have to look into the project leakages also. Is it leaking emissions somewhere else or creating a problem for some other area? So there are 7, 8 kind of parameters that we look into. And then do you have enough data also to test all of this in real time? Again, go back to the data and the work RenewCred is doing. Would you have enough data to keep testing it again and again, knowing whether this project really happened? Because just to close my summation, take the example of ERW. Sounds very simple. Simply sprinkle basalt rock and there you go, you save the world. But who is really calculating how much CO2 was saved? There's a debate with which I have with myself is calculation so important that we don't do the good stuff? I don't have an answer to that. But calculating all of this is very important in carbon market.